Hey there, Bravehearts, Urbanites, and Coach Mad Hatters, and welcome to day 6, 7, and 8 of our Journey by Heart. Um, Officially is day 7. You know how I feel about the number 7. So I think we're going Sesame Street style today. And the number of the day is 7. Yeah. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturn's Day to all of my Capricorns. Um, Earlier this morning, I indulged in a recording for the Seago Squad, and we talked about a great deal. It was such an immaculate conversation. So I figured I'd cross over and keep it moving since I am still in this wonderful Saturn energy and go ahead and do the installation to catch up on some days in our journey, first and foremost, yes. But then also share with you an activity. Oh, and let me say, as I had to extend the apology to the Seagoat Squad, I am recording on old technology. I've tried to do it with my phone several times, but putting it into the YouTube realm, it just takes so long. It takes so fucking long. So I said, I'm going to just work with what I have. As long as the audio comes through clear, the message resonates wherever it may, we're in good space. Yes? But that is not going to stop me from trying to show you some things. Okay, so um, I indulged in an activity, and it's the intra to the second power personal review. Um, oh, I gotta sneeze. Uh, Okay, it went away. February 5th, 2018 is when I first accomplished this mission, this activity, if you will, which was through a hunch. Invitation came through and it said, take Tony Crisp, the information that you receive from dreamhawk.com by author Tony Crisp. And there are 7-year cycle increments according to your human age. And Tony has it set up where it's quite nicely where if you fall within that age, within the 7-year age bracket, you click on it and it gives you this detailed summary of some of the milestones as well as the personality newness, if you will, that you could be and more likely could be experiencing during that age bracket. Oh, and let me just say, and excuse me for the snuffleupagus, I have autumn allergies, and so I contend with quite a bit of congestion during this time. And it's not that I have to really truly blow my nose at this moment, but it gets congested and so sneezing, and so I may have to pause it, and yeah. So I'm letting you know now. I'm asking for your patience. I'm extending all apologies for the old technology and the autumn allergies. A lot going on with my life right now, but we still gonna roll with this, yes. Okay, so and if you hear the crunching and going on, that's the doggy. It's lunchtime. Yes, it's lunchtime for the doggy, and that's the chewing and the crunching and kernel. So the realm inside of the intra to the second power, personal development. I have the full. So okay, so it's the Intra to the second power, pro-personal power review. Intra to the second power is the contouring of one's awareness around its first set of senses. And the first set of senses is all of the um, commentary and sight from within. So, like, many times we like to call it thinking to yourself or speaking to yourself silently. But there are also other communications that come in that I guess can we can say that it's not readily ours, and yet we still hear it clear in whatever language we fluently speak. We hear it in our first language. You sense that. That's your first set of senses. KRS-One has this wonderful activity where he will have the audience say um, something like he'll say, like say butterfly effect, but say it only to yourself. Don't say it out loud, but at the count of three, say butterfly effect. And so let's do it. So at the count of three, I would like for you to say butterfly effect. One, two, three. And then he asked the audience, now what voice was that? You heard it clear, but you didn't use your vocal cords to say it. What was the source of that? Just like the activity to close your naked eyes and see yourself in a place where you want to be, standing beside a person that makes you all enlivened and full of grace. Or you see yourself doing something that you're preparing for, but you have not done it yet. Like, where does that sight come from? How are you able to see these things and they have not happened yet? Or how are you able to recall and see vividly a picture that when you first saw it with your naked eyes, it sent you into uh, an enormous uh, space of appreciation and gratitude, or it drummed up uh, certain energies in you that propelled you, provoked you, invited you to do something of your own, or it clicked on your aha that it solved a mystery, or it added on to what you were already contemplating. Those are your first senses. At least that's my hood interpretation of it. Those are the first senses. And so when we deal with intrapersonal developing, which means your relationship with self, interpersonal is the relationship with others, your relationship with yourself to the second power. We are going in and we are imagineering for our own benefit. We are going in and cultivating the space beyond the naked eye, that which you see beyond your physical sight, the space that you can only let people into when you authentically express yourself. That space. That's what intrapersonal power is all about. So we're going to do a review and we're going to use Tony Crisp 7-year cycle template. Moi will be the example as always, because as I've said many times before, I only know me as well. I'm the only one that I know as well as I don't even remember how I be saying it, but it'll flow out at some point if you haven't already heard me say it. So just wait for it. Excuse me. Yeah. And Benadryl puts me to sleep. And yeah, I know there are other things out there, but these synthetics, I try to refrain from taking these man made products. I really do. And they know because I'm pro plant life that there is. And I'm learning. I'm finding my remedies. I'm finding my way. I am. But for right now, I'm just going to say, excuse me. Just allow me to roll with it, please. I know there's certain mannerisms and etiquette to this whole YouTube mannerisms and all of that kind of stuff. I'm still new to this thing, so yes. So creating visualizations, being able to put yourself in that space using your first senses. Intrapersonal developing talks with self. Most often, our social conditionings would love for us to continue to stay backed up against the wall with regards to how we converse with self, as if it's a bad thing, even if it's out loud, even if it comes with its own set of answers. That segment that you utilized to speak with yourself, I guarantee you, is worth more than any conversation that you'll ever have with any other human. Why? Because only you know you better than you. There it is. Only I know me. Only I have been walking with me, myself, and I from the moment I hit this round. Anything else is extra. I have to stay in that space that allows me to be comfortable with speaking to me, whether it's in a loving manner, a tough loving manner, a critiquing manner, and it's even ever so immaculate when someone outside of myself can give me feedback that not necessarily mimics or even confirms, but it's done in a manner that speaks to my senses. It affirms. It may be introducing, it may be teaching, but my senses affirm. Doesn't even necessarily have to welcome it, but it affirms. Like India Ari says, you know the truth by the way that it feels. And messages that arrive to resonate, we gotta appreciate. But most of the time, we're able to appreciate them because we have already had the initial conversations with self. We've already had the tough talk with self. That's what the coaches, the coaches, Mad Hatter's banner is all about. It's all about that relationship with self. Yes, I will say, oh, and you know what? Let me just say this just because everybody is just so fucking nosy. So, like, all the time when I wear, like, if I have on this chain, I have on a bad day because I have a protruding mole and I do not want it to clip it. If I'm out in the streets, folks swear I got a hickey. I'm not going to say I'm too old for hickeys. I'm not going to say that. But I promise you that I'm old enough that if I do have a hickey, I'm not gonna be covering it up. Who I gotta hide from? Like I don't cover up no hickeys. It's a protruding mole that I do not want to get caught up in this. And so I just felt the need to want to clear that up. I'm telling you, this whole camera thing, yeah, you have to be mindful of too much shit. but we're here. We are here. Yes. Shout out to my godlings. Hello, Maverick. Hello, BB. Hello, J Rock. And my extended crew. Hello to you. Um, we're here. We up in this bitch. So this is what we're gonna be talking about today as we journey by heart. We're going to continue to unpack my Chiron and Aries. And we're going to take a look at the 7 year cycle between the ages of 42 and 49, because that's where I reside right now. My 7 year cycle, I'm still in the midst of it. It started 2014 and it's going into 2021. And I will be 49 years old at that time if I am still in this embodiment. Within that space, some incredible things take place. Installation day 5, I rolled out, I itemized all the things that could be going down within that time bracket, within that age bracket. So if you are between the ages of 42 and 49, I wholeheartedly invite you to undergo this activity. I will link inside the keynotes the um, the 7 year cycle summaries by Tony Crisp, so that you, for yourself, can put your eyes on it and see how it resonates. Because I only pulled out and discussed how it related to me as I was the example. So, same as this installment, and we're talking day 6, 7, and 8. Today being day 7, because the number of the day is what? And it's Saturn's day, and I am a Capricorn sun. So I am inside of a certain kind of energy that is quite playful at the moment. Um, very appreciative for the review, for the inkling to revise the activity, to do the activity again. Um, I'm now wondering if I'm gonna make it an annual review, like if I'm gonna make this an annual thing, because truly new information popped up. So much has happened. So much has happened. And I often say, I'm not the person that I was last year. I'm not the person that I was 7 months ago. I'm not the person that I was 7 weeks ago. Shucks, after indulging in the Seagull Guild with the Seagull Squad this morning, I'm not even the person that I was like 7 minutes ago. Things change on such a rapid pace these days. It really does. Okay, so excuse me. Let's see, maybe if I do it this way it'll um I don't think you can see it. Yeah, I don't think you can see it. But anyway, um there is three core themes, three core themes that I call my legendary lessons while inside this review portal, as well as connecting my dots from year to year is considered my crimson velvet rope. Also, staying in the lane of the butterfly effects and the Dynamo Edifice 1.0, which I'm going to perfect segue. So I'm gonna take advantage of this. Order it, okay? Get in touch with us and get your copy of the Dynamo Edifice 2019. I think during the Comfy Sofa Conversation series, I said something about it being a Dynamo Edifice 2009. Correction. It is the 2019 version. And even when I reviewed the clip, I was like, who's gonna be interested in a 10-year-old edifice? No, it has been revised and it is now fully updated, and it's an incredible, and it just popped in my mind. Hold on, I'm gonna write that down. It just popped in my mind to add this activity to the edifice, and I think that'll be a good deal. So so excuse me. So the personal review we're gonna add to the edifice. Okay. And also, let me make the announcement that when you do order the edifice, the transcript for the entire Comfy Sofa Conversation Series 1 comes with it. It's complimentary, it comes with it. So you get both. You get both of them. You get the transcript from the series, which houses all of the quotes that I spoke about, including those who said it. All of the bibliography is in there. Um, in addition to the rundown, all of my talking points. So I took my handwritten notes that I was following while doing the series, all 7 days, and packaged it up into a very neat and precise transcript. So everything is there, in addition to the activities and the interpretations. So, yeah, do yourself a favor. Like, it's autumn time. Like, we are officially inside the mist of self study. And I'll even go as far as to say that to engage just the edifice, that's not even speaking on what's going to happen once you couple the edifice and the transcript from series 1. See what kind of newness meets and greets you. See what kind of newness. I might have to get ready to pause it because I hear the dogs getting ready to go in the up room. My little dog just went to the door, so it might be about to be something. I'm about to start communicating. Okay. All right. So, something done got there. Okay. So, so Chiron. Chiron, the wounded healer, as an archetype. 2 days ago. What's today? Today's the 21st? No, just yesterday. I'm going to sidebar one more time before I get into Chiron. Saturn going direct. I have lost all sense of time. things that I researched yesterday feel like 2, 3, 4, 5 days ago, which would be another reason why I am bundling up days 6, 7, and sorry, yeah, 6, 7, and 8. Am I doing 6, 7, and 8? No, I did 5 already. I posted 5, so 6 and 7. No, 6, 7, and 8. See, day 6, 7, and 8 is being bundled in this installment. We day 8. So I'm sorry. So the number of the day could still be 7, but no, the number of the day is 8. Infinity. I'll deal with that. I'll deal with that. And so even though it's Saturn's day, we're gonna bring we're gonna bring Mercury on in here just to validate my Virgo moon, Virgo rising. Okay. So then that means in this moment, if I am to metaphorically speak about it, Saturn and Mercury is present. Ashe. Ashe. And so I'm going to reel in my mercurial energy and um and just take hold of the time capsule, whether I understand it or not. It's my energy to have. And so three lessons. My Chiron and Aries, as it is directly linked to my birth charting and the energies at hand. The legendary story of the goddess Nzambi. Now, I spoke to the Sea Goat Squad this morning, and I completely laid out the legend of Nzambi. I will put that installment inside the keynote so you can take a look at it if you like. Um, but it's a story that has me focusing on my grace, the giving and giver ratio, my gratitude, and my grapevines. And the third one is my actual journey by heart. What I do on a day to day basis as I grow into this newness that is being bestowed upon me, and how I am looking forward to how I am visualizing the moments when I am able to host certain comfy sofa conversations and what they will consist of. So, my Chiron and Aries, let's sit this there. My Chiron and Aries has me focusing on this. So it says, and remember, mythologically, it is the wounded healer, the one who studied and studied and studied in adjacent, or not even in adjacent, studied to understand or find out how it could heal itself, but never could, but ended up healing everyone around them just because they understood certain wounds, and they understood certain healings around certain wounds. And so, by them graciously sharing their discoveries, how to embrace my Chiron and Aries and activate my wounds for healing. And see, that's the thing that grips me with this, okay? Because hardly ever am I in a rush to activate any wounds that I have? Why is it that I can't just heal them and keep it the fuck moving? They have to be activated first, which means you have to rip the scab off. I am to remain mindful and heartful that temperance is a gift and that laughter is the best therapy and that love and playfulness is part of the wonder inside of my healing. Remember, we're talking Chiron and Aries, especially how it deals with Capricorn Sun, Virgo Moon, Virgo Rising. I am to focus on study, play, and celebration as a curriculum. So, it goes on to say that my healing gifts is to empower people to embrace their individuality, channel anger into creativity, be free with their authentic expression, and rhythmically model independence and not financial independence, emotional independence, which means you are allowed to feel the way you feel if nobody else feels it. And you are to stand firm in that, regardless of the chitter chatter of the outer fringes. Mark Twain has this quote, and it says, "The most important days in your life are the most, the most two important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you discover why." We're going to start with why. Why do you do what you do the way that you do it? And we're going to keep in mind the rise of the phoenix. Yes, it did have to set itself aflame and it had to burn down to the ashes. And in the simmering of its ashes, it rose again, a new creature. The rise of the phoenix, the mythical bird that never dies. The phoenix flies far ahead to the front, always scanning the landscape and distant spaces. It represents our capacity for vision, for collecting sensory information about our environment and the events unfolding within it. The phoenix, with its great beauty, creates intense excitement and deathless inspiration. Within ancient acad- within ancient academics, as a symbol of rising and setting of the sun, the phoenix also represents the royal jubilee. The most two important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you discover why. So, as I was saying, two, no, it wasn't 2 days ago. It was just yesterday. I bumped into a journal, open access journal article through Purdue University. Article number 11. The SN number is 1481-4374. And the title is The Wounded Healer as Cultural Archetype. And I'm going to try to pronounce the authors without mingling up their name. Galia, Galia, Benziman, Benziman, Ruth Kanai, Kannai, Ayesha Amen, which is Ayesha Ahmad. My apologies for still feeling like I screwed all their names up. And so the keynote: a wounded healer, coined by Carl Gustav Jung, suggests that sometimes a disease, a dis-ease, is the best training for the physician slash practitioner. And so the abstract is discussing the topos, I think it's topos, of the wounded healer, a concept of an archetypal dynamic coined by C.G. Jung to describe the phenomena which may take place between analyst and analyzed. They, meaning the authors, examined representations of the archetype in diverse cultures and demonstrated how a reading of its various narratives may enrich our theoretical and practical understanding of the importance of empathy and mutuality. The importance of empathy and mutuality in the healing process. The archetype of the wounded healer is valuable in acknowledging cultural diversity as well as universal parallels between inner healing practices. Via Jung's fundamental questions of psychology. And so it goes on to say, now remember, I pulled out the notes that specifically related to me or that resonated with me. I'm thinking now that I will pull and drop the link into the keynotes for the full journal article so that you may do the same. Because what I am reading now, as it pertains to me, may not pertain to you. But if it may serve as an intellectual seeding, um, then I've done my due diligence. And this session may pay for itself, may be its own weight in gold. Therefore, only a wounded, and I put physician because it says physician, but I put physician in parentheses because I am mostly speaking um, to my Coach Mad Hatters, my Bravehearts, my Urbanites, those that I will say are the physicians within the school of hard knocks, the unofficial physicians. Only the wounded physician can treat effectively. A similar dynamic can also occur between any health professional and his or her patient, which is also in parentheses because I don't believe that you necessarily have to be a patient or on the verge of human annihilation or inner annihilation in order for you to sit in front of this knowledge. You also can be your own coach. Coach Mad Hattery is all about self coaching. And so you can put an inquiry into your intuition that will direct you to content and context that you will sit or can sit, or you will have the privilege of sitting in front of and serving as your own judge, jury, and counselor. An executioner, really, because if you have to have a phoenix moment, just know you shall rise again. By examining various cultural representations of the archetype and demonstrations upon how to read a wounded healer narrative. So, and I had no idea that such thing existed, but reading that made me in love with Purdue because they are reading narrative. And I know that that's not a new thing. And I know that, it goes on all the time. But just distinguishing that there is a skill to being able to properly read a certain kind of narrative, and that there is actually a wounded healer narrative. Of course, there is. Well, I tell you what, there's definitely a wounded narrative. Viewing it as the wounded healer as a narrative, that was delightful to run my eyes across. From diverse cultures, which means there's a wounded healer in this cultural denomination, there's a wounded healer over there in that one, and there's a wounded healer in that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. Can enrich our understanding of the importance of empathy and mutuality in the practice of psychotherapy, and I put in parentheses, inner healing arts. Such approach enhances the practitioner participant relationship, presenting the parallels between the Greek myth of Chiron, African shamanic traditions, the ideas of the medieval Muslim physician Al Razi, and the modern children's novel Pollyanna, which poses the Protestant U.S. American contemporary myth of a wounded healer. And it's interesting, I even said to myself, quite ironic how every example that was given, and this is not to take away from the Pollyanna storyline, because I actually love it. Um, but how all the other examples just seemed so legendary, ancient, validated, like very, how am I trying to say this? Like very weighty with its validation to be an example, and it's like, okay, so the American version of the wounded healer is Pollyanna. And not, like I said, not to take anything away from that storyline, because it's a really good storyline. It's actually one of my favorites. Um, but it confirmed how as a contributor of example, that the American narrative is sometimes so pompous. Like, and yes, I am tiptoeing around this because I like the storyline Pollyanna. I do. But I mean, come on, when you're talking about something that says like the Greek myth of Chiron or the African shamanic traditions. All right, I'll keep moving. According to Jung, the wounded healer, the therapeutic encounter should be regarded as a dialectical, I put in parentheses, conversational process in which the doctor, put that in parentheses, as a person participates just as much as the patient, in parentheses, because we're gonna cross, we're gonna intermingle terms as they fit. Yes, the psychotherapist, the counselor, the coach Mad Hatter, the urbanite, the braveheart. The nature of his or her profession or intro to the second power personal review is aware of and examines his or her own wounds. Thus, a special unconscious therapeutic relationship develops between the wounded healer and the participant. The experience of being wounded does not make him or her less capable of taking care of the patient's wounds, dis-ease. Quite the contrary, it makes him or her a companion to the patient slash participant, no longer acting as his or her superior. This process initiates a crucial change in the concept of doctor-patient relationship. The patient's or participant's suffering is not only cared for by the wounded healer, but in the healing of also assist in the healer's own healing process. The relationship is now more equal and mutual, and each encounter can be transforming and creative for both parties. My 7 year cycle, which concludes in year 2021, has been all about me understanding my wounds and what I was going to do with them. Like understanding how my suffering could actually serve as salt. When I first heard that, I had no understanding. I'm like, how is that possible? Like, I'm trying to bury my suffering as far as I can fucking get it. I wish I had no wounds. And now you telling me that I need to offer them jokers up on platters? Like, I literally have to serve up my wounds. Have to serve them up? And that's the only way they'll be healed? What's this madness we talking about? How is that possible? So, Chiron and Aries, as it specifically deals with me, which of course will deal in familiarity with those that are walking this Capricorn Sun, Virgo Moon, Virgo Rising road, path, trail, summit, is all around identity. It all has a lot to do with being confident enough to say, I am that I am. As rebellious and rambunctious as I am on the outside, I've always wanted to fit in. I've always wanted to get along. Like I always wanted to uh, get in where I fit in, and would always be so pissed off about the fact that I really didn't fit anywhere. I fit everywhere and nowhere all at the same time. Yeah. Okay. So finding value in that, finding the rhythm of my uh, appreciation for who I was, even though it was you too emotional. You explode at the drop of a dime. Your triggers are too sensitive. And in my research, finding out that those that grow up in environments where they are adequately heard or they are given the places and spaces to express themselves honestly are not so easily triggered when it comes to realms of communication and identification. They do not question who they are, who they belong to, where they come from, where they're going. They do not tread the sea of sorrow. But what's most amazing is that I also understand, especially with my Saturn being in Gemini, that all of this was meant to be so that I could be free. I was supposed to do diligently, feverishly, tirelessly, obsessively seek to crack the code. I was supposed to show up even when it wasn't cool for me to, and not show up even when it was expected me to stand firm in all those nooks and crannies that deemed me a weirdo, and dun, 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 and boldly let the freak flag fly. And throughout all of the journey, be able to give comforting commentary, be able to reflect back in a more healing manner to say that this is my road. I offer up this commentary to you, not for you to judge it, but if in fact, if you find healing in it, it's yours to have. If you find healing in it, it's yours to have. Even if at the bare minimum, it is inspiration to know that you, in fact, are on the right path, especially if you walk in it alone. Some places into your inner spaces, folks can't go. And if it means you have to drop that relationship that is too overbearing, where you can't even sit at the library a couple of hours and just be with yourself without somebody calling, where you at? What you doing? You gotta let that shit go. or if you have to contend with situations where you honestly just wanted to take a walk in nature, you honestly just wanted to walk the museums by yourself with your intuition and allow your intuition to be your tour guide. And then when you get home, you got to deal with somebody's insecurities, claiming and shaming and swearing you was doing this, that, and the third when you really wasn't. You need to let that shit go. If your relationship with yourself is being sabotaged to accommodate romance that ain't really romance, you need to let that shit go. Where you can't explain yourself without being vilified, you need to let that shit go. All right, that was my okay. I'm gonna come out. I will turn into the hood soapboxer in a minute. On the road of the Shiro hero's journey, there's this thing that under the Coach Mad Hatter's banner I like to call R&R. It takes it a little deeper than just rest and relaxation. I spoke about three of them specifically inside um, the Seagoat, CSEEGOAT, greatest of all time guild this morning. Um, but I have a few that I have added to the list, and so we're going to go through them. So A is rest and relax. B is respect and reciprocity. C is reset and revision. D is road trips and railways. I'm telling you, a road trip will do the senses, and this is the time for it. Autumn is the season for road trips. And E, reunions and realizations. And just to, uh, for the sake of continuity, self, capital S, capital E, capital L, capital F, is for sacred slash Sankofa energy life force. Inside the divine trifecta lens, me, myself, and I, self is the capital S, capital E, capital L, capital F, which is an adjacent to your sun, your moon, and your ascending sign. Remember, this is all Coach Mad Hattery content context. And so I'm going to close out with this. If this installment resonates with you, go and tap into your Chiron placement inside your birth chart. And I'm beginning to utilize more and more the analogy of your birth chart being where everyone where all the planets are placed is like your natal chessboard. You came into this realm to play chess. You really did. Your social conditionings give you the impression that you're playing checkers. Find out where your Chiron is placed. Dig into that. Research and develop from that angle and see what it can tell you about yourself. And absorb it as truth. Will everything that you bump into resonate with you? No. Remember, when this type of scholarship is laid before us, it has to cover the billions, and then it's up to us to sift through it and only pull out what we need. So that's what journals are for. Journals are safekeepers of our uh, content that resonates. It's the safekeeper of all that we identify with. So when Neo goes in to meet the Oracle and she asks him about the sign over top of her door that says Temetnos, but she also let him know that she could not validate or appoint him the one. It was something that came from within. It was something that he had to already know. This is one thing that's for certain, for sure, over and over and over again. You are you, which makes you the one for you. You are the embodiment of your celestial one. It is up to you. It's up to you to find out your two important dates. Now, you already know one if you know your birthday. And as a matter of fact, you even have a map if you pull your birth chart. By investigating your natal chessboard, your intuition will begin to sing to you the type of moves you need to be making and the ones you need to sit out on, the type of people you should be dealing with, and the ones you need to sit out on. You ought to direct your actions toward augmenting, making something greater by adding to it, increasing it, the true value of you. Invest in you. Remember, we're taking on the responsibility and accountability for filling up our own cups. And then once it overflows, we're able to say, stepping in the new opening and opportunities that shall serve as that shall serve as the great help in your voyage to enhance your quality of life. And one thing I am going to say, like sometimes we do have to go and undo what we've done because we made a decision based on what we thought was good at the time. And so if you stepped into something with someone and now you intimately inside of your own space is feeling that that was a bad idea, you're going to have to take it. You're going to have to chalk that up and undo that. You're going to have to unknot that situation inside of your immediate time and space because only after the knot will the energy flow. You will continue, and I promise you, you will. You will continue to be bummed out and bogged up if you do not unknot. You got to unknot it. You have to unknot it. Slow down enough to notice and take stock in the attracted energies and vibrations of the arrival of instinctual knowledge and inner wisdom. You knew. And if you didn't know then, when I say you knew, meaning once it came into your head that what you did is ending up to be a bad idea, from that moment forward, you knew. Your inner wisdom is telling you that it's a bad idea for you to stay with this. Every fucking second of your life is non refundable. Like you don't get no do overs. You don't get no do overs. Go and get a notebook to keep safe all the thoughts you dare not forget and that you truly can't afford to. Because quiet as it's kept, journals and notebooks and love letters and intimate correspondence is worth more than money. And so that's it, folks, for this installment. Days 6, 7, and 8. I'm in this funny time capsule, but I'm cool with it. I'm enjoying what it is that I can, without being too overwhelmed, uh, trying to maneuver inside the wild unknown. And I believe that's it. I was going to pull cards, but I pulled cards this morning inside the Seago Guild. And so if you'd like to take a look at it, once again, I welcome you to do so. I will leave, as a matter of fact, I think I'll link you to the entire playlist, so you can get an idea of how the goat gruffness go. So thank you. Thank you so very much for hanging with me. I wish you well.